What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the SchuZ Show. I'm your guys' host, SchuZ Schumaker. Now, just FYI, I'm well aware that the Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn fight has been announced. I will be getting into that, giving you guys my thoughts on that right after this interview. But before we get into the news for today, I want to get into an interview with a very special guest who's been on the show before, but now he's 16-0, 9 KOs. He's the WBC interim featherweight world champion. And he ended the interview last time saying something quite unique, and I want to kick it off with that. It is Bruce "SchuZ Carrington" on the SchuZ Show. Bruce, appreciate you taking time to come on today, man.
It's the SchuZ Show on the SchuZ Show.
Absolutely, man. Well, first things first, you were on last time. Obviously, you haven't had the mega fight, the world championship fight that you wanted yet, but I see the belts back there. You're an interim world champion now. How does that feel?
Man, I feel great. You mentioned the belts and everything like that right now. It's like it's just been one heck of a journey, and now finally just one step closer away from the dreamland, and that's being a world champion. My last fight, I won the WBC interim title, and hopefully that makes me the mandatory for the WBC title.
Right.
But either way, we're highly ranked, at least in the top four of all of the sanctioning bodies, and I'm ready to fight any of the champions. They just have to be, willing to fight me.
I want to ask about the situation because it's quite interesting. I had Elijah Pierce on a couple weeks ago. I know you guys know each other quite well, and
Yeah.
he's moving up to 126 now. But we talked about this. When you have a division like 122 with a guy like Inoue, obviously, he's undisputed. There's only one guy you can go for world championships. It makes it a little more difficult to get those shots. 126 should be a lot more wide open. So when you look at that, what's the problem? Like, why are there so many of these guys not wanting to unify, not want to fight, inactivity? What's just going on there?
I genuinely don't know. When it comes to them not wanting to fight me, like I understand, like they might not want to risk they're using a title to a person that doesn't have a title. Maybe the fight might not be as lucrative because I don't have a title, so they might, try to find excuses. Or, the obvious reason to me is that I'm one hell of a risk. Now, when it comes to them not unifying, I have no idea why they're not unifying. Like the featherweight division has not been this hot since forever,
Yeah.
and I genuinely don't know why they're not mixing and matching each other and getting these fights, happening. To be honest, the featherweight division could be one of the top divisions in the world right now if things were, moved right. But it's weird. Like you see Nick Ball, he's fighting nothing but 122 pounders. Like his last
Yeah.
two fights were 122 pounders. This next fight he has coming up is a 122 pounder. He's kind of like, getting away with this, and no one's saying anything about it. Um, then you have Stephen Fulton. He won the title. Granted, he won it after someone he beat before in the lower weight class, 122.
Right.
And then even in the fight before, he had that world championship fight. He got dropped against Carlos Castro. And then he just decided to move up conveniently right after, like, I win a WBC eliminator fight.
Right.
So, those are just a couple of examples that I've been, dealing with. That's been, borderline frustrating, but I try not to let it get to my head and just, trust in God's plan.
All right, so I want to ask about that aspect. We talked about the fact, okay, you have an interim world championship now, and obviously for a moment, I feel like you have to take a kind of step back and say, all right, I have accomplished a lot of things. I've been very successful. It's kind of incredible to see where God's got me. At the same time, though, I know you have that motivation where it's like, okay, I know what I'm capable of doing. And honestly, from my point of view, looking at it, you've done everything. You've checked every box. You deserve that world championship shot. So how do you balance this? The mental aspect, not even in the ring. You know what you can do there. The mental aspect of saying, you know what, being grateful, but still saying, you know what, why are these opportunities not coming? How do you deal with that?
I mean, I just pray. To be honest, I pray every single day.
Mm,
I would say I pray every other day about that specific topic. Because there are times when I guess I might look on the internet and I might see a post. I'm like, oh, why you should not get this opportunity? People are like kind of going crazy for me,
mm,
and sometimes I sit to myself, I'm like, man, why am I not getting this opportunity? And I try not to let it, get to me. So I pray, and then I see how things play out. Then I realize, maybe it's not supposed to happen right now. Sometimes I'll be like, okay, maybe it's supposed to, happen a little later. Maybe, something that I don't know that I am like that I didn't improve on yet. maybe it's not, ready right now because I haven't improved on this particular thing yet. And
Mm.
when I do, then I realize, oh, okay, then this is what God was waiting for me to do, so I can have the opportunity now. Things like that. God works in mysterious ways. So I pray a lot to keep myself like really humble, stay grounded, and those are the things that keep me, straight on.
Where would you say has been the biggest moment that you've had to rely upon God to help get you to where you're at today?
Say it again.
Yeah, what would you say has been the biggest moment that you've had to rely upon God to help get you to where you're at today?
Well, is that inside the ring or outside the ring?
You could do either one. If you want to do one of each, whichever one works best for you.
I mean, I could do both. I would say, um, outside of the ring, was when my brother passed. I
Mhm.
was like in a really, really dark place. Like I really felt like I lost myself because around that time, I really didn't think, you know, how can I say? I really didn't think that I had the capability of actually like taking someone's life, but that sort of rage that I had because my brother was taken from me, it was like, yeah, it can happen, and it really put me in a dark place that I was so familiar with, and
Mhm.
something that I was very uncomfortable with, and I prayed a lot on that, and I would say that was one of the big things for me growing up. But I would say inside of the ring. Um, hmm, it was actually more so when I was in the amateurs. Uh,
Okay.
I really had to, in order to get the things that I wanted to get into, like winning tournaments or whatnot, I, had to pray and take accountability of the things that I was not doing in terms of my training and putting, my all into my craft and expecting, everything, expecting, like, everything to come to me. And that's obviously not how the world works. It's obviously not, what God teaches in order for you to get the things you desire.
Mhm.
So I did a lot of praying, and then I, took that accountability, and then I started to actually put in the effort for the things I wanted. And before I started doing that, actually, I would get into fights with guys that was like the top of the nation and number one in the world, whatever. And I would like lose to them, but I would lose to them like split decision without even
Mm.
training. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
once I really started to, put 100% into my craft, and you know, I really started to like, yeah, just pray and with effort, putting that work, I started to get everything I wanted, and I started to win, and I started to feel confidence, and then
Mm.
I haven't looked back since. And that was probably back in like 2018.
All
And
right. I
it's
love
funny,
that.
because I actually was about to quit around that time too. I was about to quit boxing.
Wow. So
Yeah.
what got you back in? Why did you not decide to move away from boxing and stick with this?
Yeah, I love it. I just love it. To be honest, it's one of the things where that's all I knew.
Mm.
All I've done is box. My dad even like to play around with basketball and nothing like that. I didn't even know how to ride a bike till I was like 17 years old. And my brother that passed, he actually taught me how to do that this summer before he passed. And it was like, and we did it in secret. It was funny. It was so funny. But yeah, like my dad was like super strict on me doing nothing but boxing. So that's
Okay.
all I knew, But at the same time, I didn't love it. Like it was something
Mm.
like I had the option to box or not box. Like I really did. Like I was on the fence at one point, but it was like, man, if I'm gonna if I'm gonna step away from this thing, at least give it your all. At
Right.
least like say that you did enough to be proud of yourself. Because if I would have stepped away, I wouldn't have been proud of myself because I knew I had so much left in the tank. So much
Mm.
left. So I was like, okay, let's see where this goes, and I found a new love for it.
All right. Now, if I would have known that Bruce Carrington all the way back there, and I would have said, "Hey, by the year 2025, you're going to be the WBC interim world champion for featherweight division," how would you have
Yeah.
reacted?
I would have, in that moment, I mean, I guess I would have, like, oh, sounds nice. I would have been like, okay, you're just, saying this now just to, build my morale and whatever, but it wasn't really too much because, like, I was just so out of it. Like,
Mm.
there was a lot going on that wasn't going my way in the ring and out the ring. So
Right.
it was just like, man, like, I don't know. I feel like I was plateauing. I feel like, you know, I had a financial low. I was going through, just there's a lot of different things, little relationship stuff in terms of like friends, family, partner, all that. It was just like going bad.
Gotcha.
It was going so bad, bro. So yeah, I was just kind of just giving up on everything, and then yeah, after a while, I just started to just work on myself. Just it's like let me just focus on myself at this point because I refuse to be you know I refuse to be a quitter. I
Mm,
refuse to give up on myself. I refuse to be a loser. Yeah, I'm a real like critic on myself, and
gotcha.
I'm very ambitious. So yeah,
All right, so I actually want to follow up on that portion you just talked about right there. Obviously, it was on the table. You could have stepped away from boxing. We would have had a different WBC interim world champion right now. Who knows what would have happened? But you stuck with it. You've gotten yourself into this position. And I know there's countless people, some that have given up on their dreams, some that have continued with their dreams. But for those in a similar situation, what's your advice to them? Why should they continue to pursue what they love?
man. One of the things that I've learned right in life is like never try not to quit. Like, have a strong mentality because you never know how close you are to your goal.
Mm,
Like you could be right there, just right there, and then you're quitting. Like, oh man. And then once you realize how close you were to the finish line, you be like, oh my god, like you're gonna feel so bad about yourself,
right.
and then you just having a mentality of being a quitter when you're right there. It just kind of takes all the momentum out of you. It sucks out all the air out of you. And that's something that you never want to go through. So
Right.
you just kind of just think about, okay, like when obstacles and what are thrown your way, they're growing pains. They're meant to build character. It's not something that's supposed to just deter you and shut you down. It's
Mm,
not a sign to give up.
right.
People always want to be like, oh, it's maybe a sign that I shouldn't do this. Maybe it's not. No, like adversity helps you build character. It toughens you up.
Mm,
Sometimes God puts you through that to be able to handle the success, the clout, and the attention that comes with, the goal that you set ahead for yourself. You know,
right.
sometimes people don't like. So let's say if people sometimes get certain things easy, they're not ready for the attention and the praise and whatnot that they get after it, and it's like, dang, like they didn't go through that journey, that growing pain. They didn't go
Mm.
through, it, and then it really just kind of shut down. You know, so I kind of just embrace it.
I love that. Now, something else about you is from the last time you came on the show, you've had another opportunity as well. You now are a ring ambassador. And I want to ask you about that. That's obviously a select group of guys that's been able to be a part of that. You're one of those guys. First of all, what does that actually entail? And then what was it like just being able to be a part of now the most recognizable brand in all of boxing?
Man, well, it's basically like another brand ambassador. Like I
Right.
get paid for making certain appearances. I get paid for putting their sponsorship on getting their brand on my shorts, my outfits, and whatnot.
Right.
Little things like that.
Okay.
And they kind of like do well, like pushing out like a lot of my media. Like if I post on Twitter or Instagram, like they'll push it out on their page, and their page has a huge following, so a lot of people will see what I'm posting. But yeah, no, the ring has been involved with me for some time now. Like, I was
Mm.
a prospect of the year for the ring 2023, and that was
Right.
pretty cool. A lot of people were like, that's like super prestigious, bro. It's not like a voting thing, like a popular vote thing, like oh, and
Mm.
then you can kind of like that's yeah, like popular votes are not really how can I say authentic. It's not a
Agree.
genuine type of thing. Like they pick themselves, and I was uh, yeah, I basically won the Ring magazine prospect of the year. But yeah, I mean, working with the Ring has been really dope. It's something that I never would have imagined that would be happening for me, and
Mm.
I'm super grateful for it.
I want to ask you about a couple other things before we wrap up, going back into some boxing stuff in your future aspect. And some of those things are one of which is the Aaron Plummer videos.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that's quite an interesting collab. I know you guys were having some videos together. I don't
Yeah,
have any idea how that connection got started, so I have to ask you this: where did that come to be? Obviously, we know him; he's gone viral this year. Also, we see Bruce Carrington in some videos with him.
yeah.
How'd that all come to be?
Yo, it's crazy, right? So me and my fiance, like, we love watching Aaron Plummer, bro. Like, it was hilarious. Like, we see a bunch of his videos and whatnot, and literally the day before I met him, we were just watching something. yo, he's hilarious. We love this dude. We love this dude. Catching phase with everybody. And it's funny because most of his crash outs are valid. Like, it's hilarious that he just snaps so quick, but his crash outs be valid, you know? He don't tolerate disrespect. It is what it is. So the next day I go to the gym. We have like two different like areas inside the gym. There's a doorway that splits between the ring and the bag, and then the other side of that doorway is a strictly conditioning section where it got all the dumbbells and all
Okay.
the gets and gadgets and whatever. He's on the other side with the dumbbells doing strictly conditioning, and just walking. My regular thing. I walk to the gym and get everybody five, say hello to everyone, and I go to the back. Is that Aaron? Is that what the heck is he doing here? I'm like, oh, it's not. It was crazy. And then it's just a regular workout day though. I'm minding my business, not being a fanboy and nothing like that. And I'm just, warming up, shadow boxing. And I'm noticing like he comes out and he's just watching me. Like he's just like got his arms crossed. He's just like looking at my technique, looking at the footwork, and then Coach K, he's like kind of letting him know and telling him what I'm doing, what I'm working on. You can tell he's like, while he's watching me, building interest, and he's just like kind of like, oh, this dude is nice, like, this dude's
Hmm.
cool. And then whole time, I think Jay Prince's son is the person who introduced Kay to Aaron the plumber and told him to come work out with us and mentioned me to him, and I had no idea. And he was like, "Oh yeah, the SchuZ kid, yeah, man, he's nice. I'm seeing him work out." Blah, blah. So we kind of got linked up like that,
Okay.
on some cordial thing. But day after day, I would like give him little jewels and kind of teach him the game a little bit and teach him little techniques. And we kind of got closer as we kept working out with each other. And we got a pretty cool relationship, man. He came out to my last fight, flew
Hmm.
out, showed me mad love. He hung out with me after the fights as well. Like, dude, he's a solid guy, man.
Hmm. Now, I know it hasn't officially been announced, but I think it's pretty obvious he's training to go into the ring and actually have a real fight. I know he's training with
Yeah.
Mustafa and stuff like that. Obviously, we've seen the different clips and all that, but social media clips are much different than real life. You've seen him more so working on it. Does he
Mhm.
have a future in boxing? Something that we could be excited for?
I would say it's a little premature to say that
Fair
right
enough.
now, but he definitely has the foundation, and he has a solid foundation and great coordination for his experience. Like he just started to do it, but the way he's catching on to
Hmm.
certain like advanced moves, like in terms of just keeping distance with the stiff arm and then flicking the jab from the hip, doing a little shoulder, getting close, bumping with the shoulder, throwing little short shots, like those
Right.
little advanced stuff. Like he's not just throwing punches out there. He's
Okay.
out there like really doing some sharp stuff. So if he continues to keep going, I can see him really getting into the Jake Paul level type of
Okay.
celeb boxing. You know what I'm saying? I could really see him doing that if he stays consistent, continue to build his cardio, and just study his craft. If he can do that, he has a bright future.
All right, I like that. All right, so I want to get a couple of things with you. I mentioned earlier that Elijah Pierce was on the show a little bit ago, and he said that you are one of the very few guys he considers a legitimate friend in the boxing business. And I know you guys have known each other for quite some time there. He did say one thing. He's like, obviously, he's not a guy that's going to go call out there for a fight, but you guys have talked about that potential. If you guys both are world champions one day to unify, both make a big payday, is that something that would also interest you if those perfect situations were to come together between you two?
Of course, why not? Like I'm all about the big fights. I'm all about the action.
Right.
Yes, me and Elijah Pierce, we've known each other since the 2015 Olympic trials. We fought each other. We fought twice. He won the
Okay.
first fight. I won the second fight. And I feel like even now, like our styles will make great matchup. But
Hmm.
as of right now, I think he just moved to 126 for this.
Yep, he's there now. Yep, he just moved to number 3 in the WBA.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's very possible. It's very possible for fight to be made. Yeah, he's a great dude. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like he's one of the few guys that I kept in contact with, like for years after we fought. You know, what I'm
Mm.
saying? And a very genuine guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, if the money's right and it's perfect time to make the fight, why not? You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. It's not personal. It's business.
Right. I like the mentality there because I know that is a very talked about topic in boxing when you have two guys that are friends. I think obviously the only thing I'd separate would be if you're brothers, that'd be a little bit odd doing those type of
Right,
things.
right,
But
right.
if you're really close friends, some guys have the stance of saying, I'm not going to fight them regardless of what happens. Some guys say the paycheck's right, we can make something happen there. Your stance seems to be a little bit more so if the paycheck's right, we know we can make it happen. Walk us through the mentality. Why is that the stance you take?
Man, I mean, to be honest, I'm helping you put food on the table. You help me put food on the table. Like,
Yeah.
why not, bro?
I'm like,
It's
yep, yep.
business. Like, I mean, come on, bro. At the end of the day, when these fighters, they all do all this riffraff at the media press conferences and weigh-ins, whatever. But what do they do right after the final bell? They hug it out.
Right,
They give each other five and all of these different like compliments and whatnot. It's always business. You know what I'm saying? Granted, when the rounds are going on, all of that goes out the window, and you got to put yourself in a certain like animalistic state. You have
right.
to, because this guy's trying to hurt you. You got to basically return the favor. But
Mhm.
yeah, man, like at the end of the day, the fight is gonna end, and what we're gonna do after that?
Right.
We're gonna earn millions of dollars, and then we could go on a trip to Cancun after. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It really doesn't matter, bro. Like, I honestly feel like people that don't want to fight each other because of their friendship. Um, I really don't understand, that aspect of it and that way of thinking. That's just something that I don't agree with. But
Okay.
they may have their reasons, and it is what it is. With me, I'm all about that paper. So,
I like that. All
yeah.
right. Well, that leads us perfectly into what I want to wrap talk about, and it's the business side. I know we briefly kind of touched up on some of the stuff going on at 126, but there's a few things that we want to get into specifically. One of which is that you've now gone from the amateur to the pro ranks. The amateur has its own side of the business as well, but pro ranks is much more business oriented.
Mhm.
Obviously, there's a lot of ups and downs that come with that, and one of which is the situation you're currently in. And one I want to specifically go into is I believe you talked about this. I don't know who it was with, but you said that the Nick Ball fight, you're rumored to be in discussion with them. He declined $2 million.
Mhm.
That's a pretty large sum of money there for him to
Mhm.
turn that down. And obviously, like you said, it's not like Nick Ball is taking the biggest top of the crop guys at 126 right now, just being
Right.
honest up there.
Right.
So when you see that situation, what goes through your mind and just walk us through what exactly happened there?
Man, okay, so initially, I would say some months before we even sent that to him offer,
Mm-hmm.
um, we sent out just an offer just to fight. And he was like, well, his team was like, yeah, the only way we would fight SchuZ Show is if we get an offer of $2 million. They
Mm,
didn't have it at the moment. I was like, okay, whatever. It is what it is. We come back. I think this is like some time after I get linked up with Turkey and being a ring
okay.
ambassador. Now we have the 2 million. So we circle back. Hey, let's get ready after this fight that you have on the July 26th. You ready to do it? Let's get no, forget it. I'm sorry. Excuse me, before the July 26th fight.
Right.
Let's do it. Let's set it up. We got 2 million. Oh no, we don't think it's worth it fighting you. Now it's like, okay, what the heck is that about? Like, the money is right. You should believe in your fighter. You think your fighter's a world champ, and you should believe in your fighter enough to feel like, he could, possibly beat me. It's
Mhm.
not like I'm like ranked number 10, ranked number 20. No, I'm ranked number, what is it, WBA 2 in the
Probably right
WBA.
there now, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm definitely top three. So
Hmm.
it's like I've earned my place to even call out for the title. You know what I'm saying? And there should be no, debate about, me being, me getting my shot. Why
Right.
I get my shot? It makes me like, is this something you're worried about? You know,
Right.
those questions start to come up. So that's kind of how that situation happened. And now I saw, I think an interview that Nick Ball recently had, and he's basically like, yeah, Bruce Shooter Carrington, like he's hungry, he's coming, he's calling me out, this and that, and third. But he needs to watch how the way he talks about me, the way he comes around or comes at me, or like he won't get his shot. Basically, I'm paraphrasing, but
Yeah. Yeah. I saw that interview. Yep.
yeah. So I'm like, so what you're telling me is I gotta kiss your ass to get a shot. I'm not your friend, bro. I don't know you, and I'm not
Hmm.
even being disrespectful. There's
Yeah.
nothing that I've said about him to where I've been disrespectful for him to feel like I need to watch my mouth, whatever the case may be. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like, I'm just letting it be known. Like, to be honest, I've said plenty of times, like, I respect him as a fighter.
Hmm.
The way he fights, the young, hungry dude. He beats down. It's always entertaining to watch a smaller guy beat down a bigger guy and stuff like that. I feel like our styles being matched made in heaven. I always say that. you
Right.
know. But him saying that I should, I guess, speak nice to be able to get my shot. Come on, that's BS, bro. Ain't
Mhm.
nobody trying to hear that. Yeah, you're just trying to find any excuse, and I just don't respect.
All right, so obviously, the more I've learned about the boxing world, there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, and sometimes it's not even the fighter's fault. Sometimes it's the management team, whatever it is. When you look at the situations currently at store for you, when we look at the champion specifically, Angelo Leo, obviously he just became a world champion, all that. I'll give him a little break from that aspect. But the other three, Fulton obviously is up there. He's had his time. You obviously have Nick Ball. We just talked about Espinoza. Are
Mm.
these guys specifically? Are these things that you feel like these the guys are calling the shots and they say, you know what? I don't want these big fights. I want these guys. Is it the management teams? Who is it the organizing bodies? Who do you think is really at fault for what's going on right now at 126?
I genuinely don't know.
Okay.
That's the thing. I with the Nick Ball situation, it makes me feel like it's the management team,
Mm-hmm.
because they're looking in the best interest of their fighters,
Yeah.
obviously, and they don't want them to, risk fighting a guy like me. They see my style, they see how close I am, and you know, things of that nature. So it makes me feel like it's the management team, but I also understand that the business is not that black and white. So I genuinely don't know.
Okay. In terms of your next opportunity, we know the champions. We just list them up there. Stephen Fulton, I feel like it's a foregone conclusion. He's going to 130. I know it's a whole controversial thing right now with who knows what's going to happen with the Tank Davis and Mont Roach fight. They were supposed to be the co-main event. Nobody knows what's going to happen there. But hypothetically, the plan is for him to move up. So where does that leave you then? What obviously I know you are on a world championship shot next. Is that something that you're not going to fight again until that's on the table for yourself? Or what do you have in store? When do you want to get back to the ring? Just talk about those aspects.
Man, I want to get back to the ring before the end of the year.
Okay.
I would say like the last quarter of the year. Um, if the fight materializes with Stephen Fulton and Rocky Foster, then I genuinely don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know if the WBC is gonna elevate me to be the full champ, or if Ray Vargas and Carlos Castro they're supposed to get a fight. If that
Right.
fight materializes, then I would have to fight the winner of that to fight for the WBC world title.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the two things right now. Those are the two options that I'm.
So you'd say then your next fight, without a shadow of doubt, you're not going to step foot in the ring unless it is for the actual world championship. Then,
Yeah, that's. I would love to. I feel like there should be no other reason why I shouldn't be fighting for a world title next.
100% agree. Now, the other business aspect I want to ask you about is you obviously are with Top Rank, and I know they're in a little bit of a situation right now in terms of TV deal. I know they're going to take this month off. There's nothing planned for August. We've seen some guys go fight on other cards for this month going forward. Obviously, I don't think you're going to be doing that aspect, but from what you know, is it something that you believe a TV deal will be in place in the near future? So you'll be on whatever network that's going to be at, or where does this and how does this possibly impact you?
Yeah, I definitely think that a TV deal will be made by before the end of the year. I'm not really worried about what's Top Rank with their next move because they've been super relevant ever since Muhammad Ali has been in the game, and
Right,
then even that, even like when it comes to like the pandemic, they put in the most amount of shows in the bubble during that time.
right,
They've even made people turn superstars during that time. Like Jared Anderson built his name during that time. Edgar Berlanga built his name during that time. They had big fights, i.e. Loma and Teofimo Lopez during the bubble. So and what else? Oscar Valdez and Miguel Berchel. That was a good fight.
yeah.
So they know how to adapt with,
Mm-hmm.
and so that makes me very confident that I don't really have to work too much about the next. But I'm not worried about myself because I'm I'm still under contract to fight, one more time in this year. So it is what it is. I know I'm definitely gonna get in a ring before the year ends.
Where do you see the future of boxing? Because I know it's been a very controversial topic right now with ESPN off the table. I think they're going to get involved in some way, shape, or form in the future again. This is the first time that we have in the modern era of boxing, no boxing on national television. It's all going to be streaming, whether that be DAZN, Netflix, Amazon. It's a new era. What's your thoughts on that?
I think the viewership is gonna go down because not everyone has the finances and all that to continue to pay for streaming. A lot of people they have across the world, even third world countries have like satellite to
Hmm.
be able to watch certain networks and whatnot. So to take satellite away and just do streaming, I think that'll affect some of the viewership. But you have guys like Jake Paul and other YouTubers or content creators that's getting into boxing, that's building the, I guess, the popularity of the game and bringing a
Mhm.
whole different crowd of people, a whole different demographic of people into
Yep.
watching boxing. So I think that helps a lot.
Yeah.
What I don't think that helps are these little streaming sites that they like bootlegging these fights, or like just these pirating these fights or whatever. So that kind of hurts the game a little bit.
Right.
But I don't know. I feel like boxing we should be okay for some time.
All right. I think you perfectly nailed it there. And I actually want to elaborate. That's one of the last things I have to ask you there. And that is that part where I think overall not having boxing on national television will hurt, because obviously so many people flipping the TV channels, you're a young guy. I like the sport. That's kind of how so many people, historically at least, fall in love with the sport.
Yeah.
That's not an option anymore. But that's why I say the whole Jake Paul thing, you can have your stance on him as a person, the way he's handling business, if he gets a world championship shot, those are things. But I think overall, the what he's bringing, the impact of boxing is huge for it. Can you elaborate on that aspect? How big is it when you see Jake Paul? Obviously, it's controversial in some areas, but how big is what he's bringing to boxing for the sport as a whole?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge.
Mm-hmm.
It's bringing, like, it's making boxing. How can I say? More spectacle again. Like
Agree.
I remember, well, like, there was some time when boxing was just like it has the same formula. It has the guys just kind of during press conferences they do the face off, whatever, go on stage, just do stuff. But I feel like with Jake Paul and his events sometimes, like you always see a bunch of like different fireworks come out and different like the pyro come out and whatnot. Like I
Right.
feel like he's making it more of a spectacle, kind of WWE esque a little
I like
bit,
that. Yep.
but still keeping it professional. It's not like too how can I say? It's not too. It's not taking too much of a joke. It's still
Sure.
like you still feel like you're watching a boxing event.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I like the respect that he's carrying with it, and he's also kind of staying in his lane when it comes to fighting certain fighters. Like
Yeah.
he'll either fight old, retired, washed up fighters, or guys that's just like that's not really in the game anymore. It's like he kind of like stays in his lane, and I
Mm-hmm.
respect it.
Now, do you think, I know there's rumors, supposedly it's 50-50 chance, according to Eddie Hearn, that the fight between him and Anthony Joshua happens. Do you think that actually would happen?
Yeah, I can see that happening with the right amount
Okay.
of money. I could definitely see that happening for
Right.
sure.
All
Definitely,
right.
I would definitely tune in for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, man. Well, I got one final question for you, SchuZ. It's the question I was like wrapping up with, and I'm gonna switch up a little bit since you just answered a few months ago back. But talking about your legacy, if you hypothetically were to step away from boxing today, what would it be that you hope to be remembered for what you have brought to the sport, but also outside of that ring?
Mhm. That's tough. That's tough because I don't feel like I've done enough to say that it'd be something that I feel like I left behind. That's just me. I mean, maybe just giving the people hope of someone coming up that really represented, New York really well.
Mm-hmm.
Got the whole, New York saying "Shoe York City" right now. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like that right there is just beautiful to see. It's beautiful to hear, and I love to see how everyone's kind of just getting behind that. It's really incredible to watch. But I think that just me giving that hope of like, man, like who's gonna be the next big guy, big thing from New York? We haven't had one of those in forever. I
Yeah.
think who's the last guy? I mean, you can say Danny Jacobs, but I don't think that he truly embodied a
Mm-hmm.
New Yorker like a guy like Zach Judah. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like, there's a difference between the two.
Definitely.
I feel like I want to be able to carry New York like Zach Judah did and do it more.
All right. I like that. Well, Bruce, I appreciate you for taking time to come on in, man. It's been an honor and blessing having you back on here, and I cannot wait to see what God's got in store for you. Hopefully, next time we talk, you are officially a world champion, man.
Yes, yes, I love that. Speak that to existence, man. I appreciate
Of
that.
course, absolutely, man. Well, it's been an honor having SchuZ Show on the SchuZ Show once again, man. God bless.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Same. Thank you for having me, man.
Of course, you're always welcome on, man. God bless, bro.
God bless.
I appreciate you guys all for tuning in to that interview. I'll have that clipped up, edited out, and then posted on my YouTube channel very shortly. I'm also going to attach in the link below after the show's published the link to the full longer interview I had with Bruce Carrington a few months back, so you guys can hear his full story as we jumped into that in that episode. But with that being said, I'm going to go on a short break, and then I'm going to hop into the breaking news that came out just a little bit before the show started, which is the officialization of the Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn rematch, as well as some other boxing news. So stay tuned. I'll be right back here in just a few short minutes. May God bless you guys all, and I'll see you guys shortly. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the SchuZ Show. I'm your guys' host, SchuZ Schumaker. So, I started off the show saying that there's been breaking news and I would address it after the interview with Bruce Carrington. Well, here we are. Let's get right to it. But real quickly, before I address and give you my thoughts on the Conor Benn Eubank Jr. rematch being announced, if you guys have any comments, questions, or topics for me to discuss on today's show, make sure to leave it in the comment section and I will address that. Also, the comment should pop up on the screen and I will then address it as I go throughout the show. Let's get to it, though. Here's the official press release by The Ring magazine. The Ring has learned Saylor completed the deal for the highly anticipated Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn rematch on November 15th in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. The event will be presented as The Ring Unfinished Business. The event will be promoted by Saylor and sponsored by Riyadh Season and Ring magazine. All right. All along during this negotiation process, I've said this. I see both sides. I understand both sides. Personally, I didn't think the rematch had to happen. I felt like the first one was such a special experience that cannot be reciprocated. It is not capable of being maxed or matched even because of how special that first fight was. But I always put a clause in there. I said this on two parts. One of which is the money is likely going to be too large for these two guys to ever pass up. And secondly, I said this. If they were to make the rematch happen, it's still going to be a very entertaining fight, an incredible exhibition, and I would love to go out there and be able to witness watching this fight. So here we are. The fight's official. The biggest thing I'm going to start off with saying is this. For Eubank Jr.'s standpoint, we know how brutal that weight cut was for him last time. He couldn't even make weight. It was brutal. I just hope he's able to have a more efficient and better weight cut this time around because the first one was massive in terms of being detrimental to him. Now, that's the only way this fight ever makes sense. The weight difference is too large for them not to do it that way. Everyone that suggests, hey, don't let there be a weight clause. No, Conor Benn would get knocked out super quickly. It would not be a good fight. Part of what made the fight good is that Eubank Jr. essentially had his hands tied behind his back to a certain extent to make the fight somewhat good by being limited in that fight by the weight clause. So I think the weight clause needs to stay in place, and they got the fight done. The bag will be massive for this fight. The other part I want to ask about this is this. It's going to be freezing cold. A stadium fight in middle of November in the UK, it's going to be a chilly night. So it's going to be interesting to see how they go about that. But overall, let's just make it very clear. This fight is going to be massive. I don't think it's going to match what the first fight is. The first fight is going to be the fight of the year and possibly even the fight of the decade and so on and so forth. It's one of those types of fights. And the reason behind that is that when you truly evaluate it in terms of what happened in the ring, no, it doesn't always equate to being one of the best fights ever. And I'm not going to make that claim. But what it does do is you have to look at the storyline behind it. The storyline is what helped make that fight great. And then when they went inside the ring, everything was perfect and beautiful in that fight. So when you look at it from that aspect, this fight is going to be spectacular. I don't think it's going to match the first one, but I still think it's going to be a mega fight nonetheless. Let's get into a couple other things in boxing related. Oleksandr Usyk's team has stated that the fight against Deontay Wilder could be possible in the future under the right circumstances. What? Listen. Oleksandr Usyk, I've always said this. If he wants to fight whoever wants to fight for his final fight, I get it. I'm not going to go throw any shots at him. He's earned that shot. But Wilder would be quite interesting. Now, on paper, I could understand it. For so long, the heavyweight division had three kings. Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder. Usyk's come out and taken care of business against Fury and AJ with ease. He has not fought Deontay Wilder yet. Now, we all know exactly how that fight would go. Usyk would dismantle Wilder bearing a miraculous miracle bomb, which probably would not happen. But for Usyk's resume, that would be quite interesting. Being the man that was the king of the cruiserweight division, moved up to heavyweight, and took care of the three kings would be quite interesting. So we'll see what happens there. But I just hope that fight does not happen. Because listen, hypothetically speaking, if Usyk only has one more fight remaining, the fight that needs to happen against Joseph Parker. Joseph Parker's earned it. And if Wilder somehow leapfrogs leapfrogs Joseph Parker, when Joseph Parker put a working on Deontay Wilder, it would be quite unfathomable. It would be one of the worst things I've seen in boxing happen in terms of the business side of it. I just hope it is not the case. These are the names that have reportedly received offers to fight Jaron Boots Ennis next. Rashidi Ellis, Charles Conwell, Josh Kelly, Andreas Katsarakis. All right, let me go down this real quickly. Rashidi Ellis, interesting fight. I feel like that's the most clear-cut tune-up fight out of all of them. He's a good fighter, but I feel like that would be a clear-cut tune-up fight for Boots Ennis. Boots would be able to do his thing with Rashidi Ellis. I don't think that fight will happen, but we'll see what happens. Charles Conwell is probably one of the best stylistic fights to make here on this list. The only thing is this. If you're Charles Conwell, you were so close to a world championship shot. He was this guy that everyone considered the boogeyman almost at 154. I still like Charles Conwell a lot, but for him to come off of a loss and go right to a Boots Ennis fight where he would potentially lose in that fight as well, I don't feel like that's the best management and game plan for him. If I were Conwell, I'd avoid that fight right now, continue to work your way up. Obviously, if you truly believe you can upset Boots Ennis, go ahead, but building-wise for his career, that fight does not make a lot of sense. So it leaves us then with Josh Kelly and Andreas Katz. Josh Kelly's interesting because he is in a high position ranking, and that would get himself a popular fighter as well. Josh Kelly is very well known in the UK, has a large following. That would make a lot of sense. I think Boots Ennis would do quite easy. I never like calling a fight easy, especially against top-ranked guys, but considering the situation, I would consider Josh Kelly a quite easy opponent for Boots Ennis. Stylistically, I just don't think it's a good matchup. But the most challenging fight on this list here is Andreas Katz. For those of you that are not familiar with him, he has had his rise primarily here now with OTX. He's been working with Ronnie Shields. He is a very good fighter, a very tough fighter. It would be a massive step up for Boots Ennis, though, or for Katz, though. Going from who he's fought recently to Boots Ennis would be quite a jump. However, if anybody's the most ready here, I would say it's Conwell or Katz. So we'll see. All of them are interesting tune-up fights for Boots Ennis. I think it's a great introduction to 154 with any of them. I primarily would like to see the best stylistic fight is Conwell. Like I said, though, it just does not make a lot of sense. Katz probably the toughest one out of the most realistic. Rashidi Ellis, Josh Kelly are quite easy wins for Boots Ennis. Let's get into a couple other things. Former WBO lightweight champion Keyshawn Davis says he's dang near retired in his most recent social media live stream. Interesting. All right. We all saw and we are well aware of what happened with Keyshawn Davis in his disasterful weekend in Norfolk, Virginia a couple months back. And he put himself in a bad situation. Make no mistake about that. The ripple effects are obvious. We all knew they were going to happen, and he deserves them. Let's make that very clear. But let's go to the second part of that. He says he's dang near retired. Well, let me just put the facts out there to begin with. He did put himself in this position. It has only been a couple of months. Be patient. Be patient. He's going to be back. I've never said his career is over with. He's always going to have a stain on his record regardless of what happens. This will be a stain. You can redeem yourself, absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, and I believe he will redeem himself, but this will still be a stain that people will talk about for the remainder of his career. It is what it is. However, I think you have to factor in a few things. First and foremost, he blew a shot. Second of all, he's no longer world champion. Third of all, he's having to move up weight classes to 140. You have to figure out a whole new weight class, work your way up, whatever that's going to look like. And fourth of all, in regards to Top Rank, they currently don't have anything even booked for August. They're working on a TV deal. They have some business stuff to get situated. And I don't think Keyshawn Davis is going to want to go out there and fight with a company that has no TV deal. So I think if you're Keyshawn Davis, be patient. It's going to be all right. It's going to take time. It's a curve and a bump in your road, no doubt about that. He made a massive, grave mistake by doing what he did at Top Rank, and I don't blame Top Rank for being upset with him. They deserve to be. He fumbled the bag big time that weekend. He was a budding superstar and blew it that night. I believe he will be able to rebuild himself. Make no mistake about that. But he's going to have to go through punishment. And it's not going to be fun, but he put himself in this position. And with Top Rank's TV deal currently up in the air, I don't think that there's a reason for him to be stressing out. I don't think Keyshawn Davis is going to be anywhere near retired. Maybe for the moment, hypothetically, he's retired because there's nothing on the table. But long term, he's going to be back in the ring. It might be not until the end of this year. It might not be until early next year. But he will return. He's not going to retire. He needs to be patient and accept what happened to him. He has massive punishments. There's ripple effects from what you do in all the situations he brought upon himself that weekend. And he's now experiencing that. Here's the final thing I want to discuss on today's show. Artur Beterbiev and Najee Lopez are in talks for a fight. If finalized, it would be on the David Benavidez Anthony Yard undercard. Okay, real quickly, if we throw Artur Beterbiev up onto one of the best cards ever put together right now that we're witnessing, that card gets even more special. But let's really emphasize on what we're going to look at right here. What a shame this is. Nothing against Artur Beterbiev. This man is aging in his career. He's 1-1 against Dimitri Bivol, and he deserved his shot at a world championship once again against Bivol. The fact that Dimitri Bivol is out here ducking Artur Beterbiev, yes, he is ducking to Artur Beterbiev, and I can confidently say that. Because here's the situation at hand. Artur Beterbiev wants to get back to the ring and fight. Hence why he's looking at fighting a guy in Najee Lopez. Now, it's not a big fight by any stretch of the imagination, but Beterbiev is ready to get back to the ring. He knows his career is on a ticking time bomb right now, and he only has X amount of time until his career expiration date has come to a conclusion. And Dimitri Bivol was out here trying to age him out. It's disrespectful, and honestly, it's a disgrace to see Dimitri Bivol doing this. Because if you are Dimitri Bivol right now, you are younger. You should believe, as the once undisputed champion, that you have every right to go out there and you would beat Artur Beterbiev in the trilogy. You should think that you are the better fighter, and a lot of people would agree with you. So go out there, take care of business against Artur Beterbiev, and beat him. You should go out there and beat him. It's only going to help your legacy by having 2 wins on Artur Beterbiev and winning that trilogy. On top of that, all this is doing is hurting Dimitri Bivol's legacy. Everybody that knows boxing knows that there is a rightful reason that Artur Beterbiev should have a trilogy fight here. He gave Dimitri Bivol an immediate rematch at his age when he probably could have used a little bit more time off, but he did it anyways. And yet Dimitri Bivol, who is significantly younger than Artur Beterbiev, is out here dancing around, going on vacation, tripping, and all these different things, as Beterbiev is begging for a fight to get made. This is not a good look at Bivol whatsoever. It does not take away from how talented he is as one of the best boxers of this generation, but what it does do is it is a little bit of a stain on his legacy right now. That can quickly be fixed. If he comes out of the thing and says, hey, guess what? Let's get this fight made by the end of the year. All is good. But he's got to stop literally ducking Artur Beterbiev right now. It's a disgrace what's happening. It's a shame. And this is coming from somebody that has great respect for Bivol. He is a phenomenal boxer. One of the best of this generation, one of the most talented we've seen this generation. He is a phenomenal first ballot Hall of Famer. I can go on and on praising Dimitri Bivol. He's incredible. He's phenomenal. But what he's doing right now is not right. From a moral standpoint, from a boxing standpoint, it's not right. It's not okay. And it needs to be addressed. There's no reason that Dimitri Bivol should be doing this to Artur Beterbiev. Beterbiev deserves his trilogy fight, and it better happen soon. Because Artur Beterbiev having to be the one to go out here and fight and stay active against a guy like Najee Lopez, who, let me just say this, I hope Najee Lopez is ready. If this fight actually is true and these rumors are true, this man could be in for a brutal, brutal night. He is a good fighter. I like watching Najee Lopez fight, but going from where he's fought to fighting Artur Beterbiev, who is going to go in there pissed off at what's going on right now, that's a scary situation for him, a brutal situation. I just hope he's ready for that fight. But Artur Beterbiev wants to stay active. He wants to fight. Give the man his fight, Dimitri Bivol. Stop dancing around, stop playing these games, and give the man his fight. That's the only thing that's right now. Doing what he's doing right now is absolutely ridiculous, and people need to start calling it out because there's no excuse for what's happening right now with Dimitri Bivol and Artur Beterbiev and trying to get this trilogy made. With that being said, I don't see any more comments in the comment section, so let's get right to it. I appreciate you guys all for tuning in. Under construction, I actually do see one thing. I appreciate you for tuning in today, my man, and I hope you have a great rest of your night as well. Appreciate you for reposting the stream. With that being said, though, let's get right back to it. I appreciate you guys all for tuning in to today's show. May God bless you guys all. I will be back live tomorrow at, let me see exactly. I just got actually scheduled before I came live. So tomorrow I'll be back live at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. My guest will be announced tomorrow afternoon so you guys can know who's going to be tuning in. I think it's going to be one that you guys are going to like to hear from. It's a very big guest, a matchroom fighter. He is a young, up-and-coming, rising prospect in boxing. So I will let you guys know exactly who that man is tomorrow afternoon. But I'll be back live 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. May God bless you guys all. Have a blessed rest of you guys this Tuesday evening, and I will see you guys back live tomorrow. May God bless you guys all, and I will see you guys tomorrow. SchuZ out.